Okay, so as humans, right, we all share these really fundamental experiences. We're born, we sleep, we dream, pretty standard stuff, things we mostly think we understand.
Yeah, on the surface at least.
Exactly. But then there are these other experiences, things that are also widely shared, but feel much more, well, unsettling, more mysterious.
Definitely less understood.
And today we're going to tell you a story about one of those, a phenomenon that's often felt like an attack. Utterly terrifying. It's known across cultures, maybe most famously as the old hag.
A really evocative name.
Isn't it? So we're going to explore what this experience actually is, where it might come from, and why it seems to haunt people pretty much everywhere. We'll look at accounts, look at the research, try to shed some light on its chilling reality.
Right. And to really get it, you have to start with the core element.
Which is?
Well, the old hag experience is kind of a constellation of things, but right at the heart of it is sleep paralysis.
Okay, sleep paralysis. That's that really awful feeling, right? Being totally awake, knowing you're awake.
But completely unable to move.
Yeah, like any part of your body, except maybe, your eyes, eyelids.
That's usually it. You might be able to blink or shift your gaze, but limbs, torso, nothing. It goes by other names too, like nocturnal paralysis, sleep numbness.
No, it's the same basic thing. This temporary paralysis linked to sleep. How long does it usually last? It feels like ages, I bet.
Oh, it definitely feels like it.
Yeah.
But typically, we're talking seconds, maybe up to a few minutes at the outside. And, for a long time, people thought it was really rare.
Right, associated with narcolepsy or something.
Exactly. But modern research actually shows it's way more common. Estimates vary, but somewhere between, say, 20% and maybe even up to 60% of everyone might experience it at least once.
60%, wow, that's huge.
It is. Now, most people, maybe just one or two episodes in their whole life. But then you have some who get it regularly, days apart, weeks, months, and a very, very small number can have periods where it happens almost every night.
And it often happens when waking up, you said?
Yeah, that's called hypnopompic paralysis, just as you're surfacing from sleep.
Okay, so if just paralysis is actually that common, what makes the old hag experience different? What turns it from just being stuck into, into that?
Right, that's the crucial distinction, is the profound sense, the acute awareness, sometimes even visual, of a presence, something else in the room with you.
Okay, a presence. How does that manifest?
Well, it varies. It could be the feeling of an entity just standing over the bed, or a really distinct sensation of the mattress depressing, like there's weight on it.
Like someone sat down.
Exactly, or lying down beside you. Sometimes it's just strongly sensed,
Yeah.
Not seen, but absolutely felt. An unseen, chilling weight in the room.
Creepy.
And then there are the visual forms. People report seeing a dark shadow, maybe a kind of dark mist, or even a human-like shape, sometimes featureless, but occasionally, with intensely dark eyes.
Oh, wow.
And it gets even more physical. Tactile sensations, being touched, prodded. Some even report being pinched.
Pinched? Seriously?
Yeah. But the absolute core element, the classic old hag attack, it's that heavy, crushing weight on the body, usually the chest.
The suffocating feeling.
Exactly. That feeling of pressure, difficulty breathing. Sometimes it's felt on the legs, or even like being strangled. So it's that combination. You're awake, you're paralyzed, and you feel this oppressive weight or presence. That's the old hag.
And that connects to the original meaning of nightmare.
Precisely. The word nightmare comes from Old Norse and Anglo-Saxon mara. It originally meant something like night death or a supernatural assault, totally different from just a bad dream. These ancient nightmares were seen as real attacks.
It's just incredible how widespread this is. Not just one place, one culture.
Not at all. The old hag, or something very, very similar, exists in pretty much every culture where people have looked for it.
You mentioned Newfoundland in Canada.
Yep, it's a big part of their folklore. In Japan, it's kanachibari, which means something like bound up with metal. And you find accounts all across the US, Europe, throughout Asia, even among indigenous groups, way up north, Inuit, Yupik, Aleut peoples.
And the pattern is always the same.
Remarkably consistent. Sleep paralysis, usually when waking up. The feeling of an unknown, unwelcome entity. And that physical pressure or oppression, it really seems to be a universal human experience.
Which is just fascinating. So what about causes? Have researchers found any, common threads?
Well, yeah, there are some interesting correlations that pop up in the research. For instance, it seems to be a bit more common in people who sleep on their backs.
Really? Any idea why?
Not really. That specific link is still a bit of a mystery. And another odd thing, while we think of it happening at night, quite a few reports mention it during daytime naps, especially late morning naps. Again, why that timing? We don't know.
Weird. Any other factors?
Probably the strongest link is with the person's state. People who are chronically tired, really sleep deprived, or under a lot of stress.
Like students pulling all-nighters, maybe? Or shift workers?
Exactly. Those groups seem particularly prone to it. And all this really points towards a physiological element, doesn't it? Some kind of disruption in the normal sleep cycle. The experience is very strongly tied to certain stages of sleep.
And the feeling itself, I mean, it sounds absolutely terrifying.
Overwhelmingly, yes. Profound terror is the most common reaction. The paralysis alone is scary, confusing.
And then you add a weird presence.
Right. It just escalates everything. This sense of something unknown, foreign, intrusive, usually dark figures, apparently. Very rarely described as luminous or bright.
But you mentioned something almost comforting, that moving slightly can break it.
Yeah, it's a key finding from modern research. Kind of frustratingly simple in a way. Just managing to move, say, a finger or a toe is often enough to snap you out of the paralysis. And interestingly, when the paralysis breaks, the presence usually vanishes too.
Huh. So those visions, the dark things hovering or standing around or even on the bed.
Accompanied by that total helplessness.
Yeah.
Yes. It really makes you wonder, how much is the experience itself and how much is the panicked mind interpreting it?
And if someone does manage to lash out or turn on a light?
The entity tends to just dissipate, which strongly suggests it's linked to sleep. Maybe a hallucination bleeding over from a dream state.
Now, someone actually studied this systematically, right? Dr. Hufford?
That's right, Dr. David J. Hufford. He's a folklorist, a professor, and he really gave the old hag phenomenon its first proper, rigorous look. His own experience with it back in the 70s actually sparked his interest.
His own experience, wow.
Yeah, led him to write his classic book in 1982, The Terror That Comes in the Night. And in it, he made this really important distinction between the cultural source hypothesis.
Meaning, like, culture teaches you what to expect.
Sort of, yeah. The idea that your cultural beliefs create the experience. Versus what he called the experiential source hypothesis, that the experience itself happens first, and culture then tries to explain it.
Okay, so what did he find after looking at all these cases, interviewing people? Did culture shape it?
Well, this is what's so fascinating. Hufford found that culture did not seem to determine who had an old hag attack or what the core experience was like.
Really?
Yeah. Across all the cases he studied, the basic pattern was the same, whether the person knew about the old hag legend beforehand or not. Cultural expectations didn't seem to influence the actual fundamental event.
So the experience comes first.
That's what his research strongly suggested. And it led him to this rather provocative idea. He argued that believing in the reality of things like the old hag, these paranormal concepts, is actually reasonable.
Reasonable? How so?
Because the encounters themselves have these incredibly powerful personal experiential elements. Even if science can't objectively prove what's happening, the experience feels undeniably real to the person having it.
That's quite a take, that the feeling of reality makes belief reasonable.
It is, yeah. It really highlights the power of subjective experience.
Okay, so pulling this together after looking at Hufford's work and everything else, what do we know for sure is going on here? What's the solid ground?
Well, we know hypnopompic sleep paralysis is happening. That waking up paralysis.
Right. And accompanied by this really clear sense of being awake.
Definitely. And also, certainly there's that powerful sense, seen or just felt, of something strange, anomalous, often scary, and hard to explain. A presence.
And we know it's not just one culture story. It's global. Almost every culture seems to have a name for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we know there's a connection to REM sleep, the dream state. It looks like people are waking up while still partly in that REM state.
So dream elements could bleed into their waking perception.
That seems to be the leading idea, yeah. Incorporating dream stuff into the waking world for a few moments.
And this feels like the huge question. Why this specific phenomenon? Why the Mara, the old hag, with that consistent form, the presence, the pressure?
Exactly. That's the central mystery, isn't it? Waking dreams, you'd think, could be anything. Infinite variety.
Right. So why do people all over the world, across centuries, report this same specific thing so consistently?
Is it maybe some kind of universal pattern hardwired in our brains? We just don't know. It really underscores how little we still understand about the brain, the mind.
And the truly astonishing, sometimes inexplicable things it can do.
Precisely. You mentioned some people are even asking for accounts with physical evidence now.
Yeah, I saw that mentioned, like, if anyone had scratches or marks after an episode, could that offer new clues? It's grasping at straws, maybe, but shows how deep the mystery runs.
It really does.
So we kind of circle back to where we started, this deep mystery. Is the old hag some crack in the wall between worlds during sleep? Or is its very consistency the biggest clue, pointing to something universal inside us that science just hasn't mapped out yet?
The sources we looked at definitely lean towards a scientific explanation, even if it's undiscovered. The breach between worlds idea is seen as pretty implausible without evidence.
Right, but the question itself, it still hangs there, doesn't it? This powerful, shared, terrifying experience. It makes you think about the limits of our understanding.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The consistency is what's so profound. It really tells us there's so much more to learn about consciousness, about sleep, about the human brain itself. A deep mystery remains.
Well, thank you for joining us on this, pretty unsettling journey into the unknown today.
Always fascinating, even when it's chilling.
If you found this story captivating, please do like, share, and subscribe to Cunnin' Horror Docs. It really helps us bring you more of these explorations. And sweet dreams.